All right, welcome back to Not Your Average Podcast, episode 11. And today I got a special guest out of Delaware, Trent Watson. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, man. First I want to say I appreciate you for taking the time and even being interested in having me come on here and just tell my story. Yeah, man. A lot of you guys know me as May Hoops Trent. A scout analyst with May Hoops, and yeah, that's me out of coming out of Dover, Delaware.
And I would like to start with specific your experiences growing up. Like, did you play sports? Who's your influences growing up to get you into sports? Really, like, did you go to college and play sports, or what did you do in college and stuff like that too?
Man, I don't even know where to start. Man, I feel like I was born into this, to be honest, Andy. I got two older brothers. My brothers both are hoopers. Growing up in New York City, I'm originally from New York City, from Lower East Side
Uh,
Manhattan. So, obviously, the basketball culture out there is a little different. New York City is called the Mecca for a reason. So, just growing up out there, and that's like my first real like introduction to hoops. It's a little different coming from a rich culture like that. Both of my older brothers played. They're known in the city for basketball. So I kind of just like was born into it. My brothers always had me like outside or like around like different pros from the city, guys like John Hawthorne with Hard Work Boys. Shout out to, my Uncle Skip. Yeah, guys like BG over there with Exodus. He was real instrumental in me during my middle school years. Just spending the summers in New York and learning from them type of guys. So, shout out BG, shout out Exodus. Yeah, man. So that's kind of where it started. Like from like 3 years old, I just fell in love with the game. Moved to Delaware when I was young in elementary school. And the game just followed me, honestly. Like I started playing like in rec leagues around here, and then next thing you know, like I started to gain like a little name out here, like in Dover and in the community. And I started playing AAU probably when I was around like 8 or 9, and I've been playing grassroots AAU from 8 years old all the way up to the time I was like 17. So when me being a guy that's in grassroots now as an adult and as a professional, it helps me so much because I have that background of just growing up in it. Like I was an AAU
yeah.
kid. Like I tell people all the time, like I was an AAU baby. Like sixth grade year, I won a national championship. I want to say eighth grade year, I started playing on the Under Armour circuit with We Are One out of Delaware. We had a guy on our team that a lot of people are familiar with. You probably are familiar with Andy, and a guy named Trey Duval. Trayvon Duval was our starting point guard. I played with them for like 2 3 years. Learned a lot. Learned a lot. We had hella guys who went on to play at the next level in college. Some of my best friends, like relationships with coaches as well. So, just playing on the Under Armour circuit, getting that experience, just kind of opened my eyes up to a lot. And it really shaped me as a player and showed me, like, okay, what I'm up against, how all this stuff works. And then, from then on, I moved to PG County, Maryland, my junior year of high school. And I was attending Charles Herbert Flowers High School out there in PG County.
I was gonna say I hear that basketball is big out there. Like the comp is pretty
Yeah,
good out there. Yeah.
that I can name endless people that come out of PG County. Like obviously, like Kevin Durant is probably the biggest name, but guys like Jeff Green, Quinn Cook, Victor Oladipo,
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant, both and his brother, both the Grants. Man, the list just goes on and on. Like
Yeah,
even
I think last year at Radford, there was a guy on the team from PG County, Chance Davis. Yeah, I shot him a couple of times
yeah, man.
at Radford.
Yeah, bro. So it's like, PG County is heavily represented pretty much everywhere you go. So like, and it's one of the toughest
Yeah.
places to play as a high school kid. So like, if you can go out to PG County and like hold your own and be a good player out there, 9 times out of 10, like you're a solid player. Like you can play like in college at some type of level. So yeah, like I went to school out there my last 2 years. It wasn't really easy for me coming from Delaware. Obviously, like I had a target on my back, I'm the new kid. I'm coming from Delaware, which like Delaware ain't known for hoopers like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got a couple guys here and there, like, Bones Highland now in the league, Dante DiVincenzo in the league. They're actually on the same team, both coming from Delaware, but like it ain't it ain't a lot, like, especially compared to PG County, so I learned real quick, like, real fast, I had to adapt, but, yeah, it was a great experience, like, it taught me a lot, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I would say on the flip side of that, like, it was such a new environment for me, and I was trying so hard to, like, adapt and kinda, like, fit in, that even like it was kind of even like detrimental to me a little bit because like I kind of lost my focus a little bit, which I'm saying because it ties into what kind of what happened next throughout like my playing history and my story. So my senior year, fast forward to my senior year, I really didn't have any looks, my grades weren't the best, but I had a visit coming up with a D2 school in Pennsylvania called Lincoln University. It's a HBCU. um
Okay. Huh.
And I wanna say the week before I went, the coaches got fired, athletic director got fired, everybody got
Dang.
fired, like, they cleared house. So, like, that was the only school that really showed interest in me like that at the point in time. I wanna say I took a visit probably that summer prior to my senior year to St. Francis, Brooklyn, small D1 school, in New York. But, yeah, that fell through. I didn't really play the greatest my senior year. So I still like to say I ended up doing a post-grad year at Spire Academy, where people are
Uh-huh.
really familiar with now, obviously, because Coach Boyle is over there. They're a top team in the country. They actually play in Chipotle Nationals tonight, first round.
Oh, nice.
So shout out to
Nice.
them Spire boys. Hope y'all get the job done. But yeah, and I came the year before LaMelo Ball got there. So it was a little different for me playing on a national level now, but it's not something that I've done before, like obviously with AAU. So, I played against guys like Jordan Nwora, who ended up winning a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks the year Giannis and them won. Played against guys like Hamidou Diallo, Ellen Grady, that went to Kentucky. Was the national prep circuit is like no other. Like you can't hide. Like Najee Marshall at Hargrave, like probably had my
Dang.
best game against him and Hargrave. I had 30 on Hargrave when it was the number one team in the country. And after
Dang.
that, like, yeah, like they had Braxton Beverly who ended up going to NC State. I want to say they shooting guard. I forget his name. He went to West Virginia, and then Najee Marshall was from on their team. Obviously, he plays for the Pelicans. So, and I had 30. So, and after that game, like it was on footage. Coaches was there. Like after that game, Andy, I'm not gonna lie, like my phone was buzzing. Like they was like, "Yo, who's this kid?" Like, you
Yeah.
know, coming out of Spire. Like, you know what I mean? He just had 30 on the
Yeah.
number one team in the country. Like, so after that, my buzz went up a little bit. I had more good games after that, and we finished the year on a pretty strong note. We didn't make the national prep showcase, but I did enough to give me some looks, but ultimately, my senior year of high school kind of came back to hurt me because some of the schools that wanted me, I really couldn't get into because of my grades. I was gonna commit to a school called Catawba, a D2 school in like Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, I
Um,
heard about it. I heard of that school. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Like I took a visit down there. It was amazing. Like the coach really wanted me and my backcourt partner JoJo. Shout out my boy JoJo. And then like I wanna say it might have been my test scores. I don't even think it was my GPA. I think it was my test scores, which is crazy because now I don't think a lot of people know, but test scores don't hurt or play into like athletes' eligibility now for NCAA. So yeah, I think it was my test scores. I ended up like not going there. I had a few other schools that I just kind of really didn't really like, or the situation wasn't the greatest. So I ended up going betting on myself. I went JUCO. I went to a D2 JUCO. I went to Mercyhurst Northeast. A lot of people probably know Mercyhurst, a D1 school now. They used to be D2 in the PSAC. They had a JUCO, so I went there. I bet on myself, went there. I had a good year. And then coming out, I ended up going to a small D2 school called Central Penn College, just because it was closer to home. Like the schedule, the coach lured me in with the schedule they played because every year they always had like 6 or 7 D1 schools on the schedule, and guys were getting opportunities to move up or using that film to go overseas. So I felt like it was a good spot for me. Like I don't really care about or I didn't really care about, like the bells and whistles. Like I was there to hoop and, get an opportunity to change my life. So yeah, I played 2 years there until COVID. And I want to say during COVID, they literally sent us home. I remember like it was yesterday. I got an email. They sent us home. We came fresh off like a road trip. I get back to my room. They're like, yeah, you got like 2 days to pack all your stuff and get out. We're sending
Damn.
everybody home. And then next thing you know, I just stopped hooping. Like after that, my coach quit. I was going to go back to school. My coach quit. I didn't really like what the new coach had going on, like the vibes. And then I had an opportunity kind of just to get a head start and hop right into, working on the business side and the professional side. So I just took it and ran with it. And that's the lore behind, me who's Trent, what kind of started it all.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. It's just like sometimes playing doesn't last forever. You gotta find other avenues to stay with your passions, which is
Yeah.
hard sometimes.
Yeah,
Which,
and honestly though, Andy, I think like everything played out how it was supposed to for a reason. I think it really helped me be so well versed to be able to do what I do now, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like I did it at every level. Like, you know what I mean? I played shoe circuit
yeah,
AAU, I played independent AAU, I played top prep circuit in the country, I played JUCO, I played D2. So it's like I know how it works for every stop on the process, you know what I mean? So and
yeah,
it just gave me the ability to be able to identify talent easy. Like I can tell like, okay, who's a D1 player, who's a D2, what guys are maybe on the fringe, on the cusp. Like I know how to interact
yeah.
with college coaches. Like so, it's had all played its purpose, honestly.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then on that note, you talk about working for Made Hoops and you played in the AU circuit. It's kind of a full circle moment for you to go work in AU. And do
Mm,
you want to explain what Made Hoops is and what your exact role is with them and then how that's progressed throughout the years with you being there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, Andy, that you say like it's a full circle thing for me because it really is. Like the CEO of Made Hoops, Chad Babel. Shout out my guy Chad. He's a family friend. I've known Chad probably since I was like 11 or 12 years old. Like Chad started at Hoop Group and he
Wow.
was somebody who, was like one of my counselors when I used to go to Hoop Group camps, used to get me in the Hoop Group, make sure I was good. Like, if you was a hooper, like if you was a hooper that was pretty good in the Northeast region, you knew who Chad was. You know what I mean? Like you knew Chad Babel. And Chad knew you. So, and obviously my older brother and Chad have a relationship. They grew up together, in New York City. So just coming up together, I kind of had that relationship early. So funny story, I was in Africa. I want to say 2022 summer. I was in Africa. I was working operations for one of my homies. He had a league, a pro league out in Africa, and I was running operations for it. And I knew I was coming home and that I probably was looking to do something different. So I hit Chad up. Chad had me with Marquee at the time. A lot of people, Marquee Hoops isn't a thing anymore, but Andrew, you might have remember Marquee Hoops or seen it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, I remember Marquee Hoops. I think was it like 2024 when it ended, right? And then I was there at the tail end of it, I think,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I started
Yep.
with operations with Marquee Hoops just to end the summer. I came home in like June and I hopped right into grassroots with Marquee. I finished out the summer with Marquee. After that, like it kind of got slow. Like they didn't really have nothing else to do for me, like nothing else for me to do. I had an opportunity. It's crazy. Like I saw an ad one day. I'm scrolling on Twitter. I just see an ad for the circuit scouting. They were like, "Yo, we're looking for interns, people who are like well knowledgeable in the game, um, and would write like scouting reports, interview players, things of that sort." So, mind you, Andy, I've never done anything like that. I'm not like a journalism major or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But one thing I do know is I know basketball and I know AAU. So it's like, why not? I was looking for something to do, like
Yeah.
trying to figure out what's next. So it's crazy, Andy. I applied. I say, you know what? Why not? I applied and I want to say they called me back within like an hour. Like, and they called me and was like, yo, your resume is like perfect. It's crazy. Like, you're a guy that we want to bring on our team. So I started, scouting in the EYBL for the circuit and doing like, my regional stuff, excuse me, in the area in like Philly and Jersey, just covering the area for them. I went to like a May Hoops event probably like the next fall, like a warm up event or something like that. And I saw Chad, and Chad, asked me what I was doing. I told him what I was doing, but I told him like, the circuit kind of like it stalled a little bit. He told me to hit him up in 6 weeks from now because him and Eric Hanford, who is like OG scout in grassroots, now he's with the Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans. But that's like Eric hired me when I was at
Yeah.
Made, and Eric, it's crazy because Eric knew who I was before I knew who he was because I went to a camp Eric was hosting when I was in 10th grade. Like, what are the odds of that? Like, you know what I mean? I made the All-Star game at a camp Eric was hosting when I was in 10th grade, and he remembered me. So he was already on board with like, bringing me on. So I had a meeting with Eric, and then the rest is history. Like now, May Hoops Trent is a thing. Like, 4 years later, 3 years later, Hoops Trent is a thing now. Shout out to Chad, shout out to Eric, shout out to Brian Flynn, um, who's also been huge in mentoring me over these last few years. Just showing me the ropes. And so yeah, I mean, and what I bring to May Hoops is you know, obviously I'm a scout, I'm an analyst, I write stories, I write articles. But me personally, I think my job is a little bit deeper than that, a little bit bigger than that. Because to me, I look at myself as kind of like a connector piece, a bridge. I bridge the gap, if you ask me, between the players and these young guys and college coaches and even sometimes scouts at agencies. Like, you know what I mean? College coaches hit me up looking to get information about these kids and their families, and it's my job to know as much as I can about, the kids and their families and what they're looking for and, who they are. And, I just try to bridge the gap. I give kids as much guidance as I can, and I try to tell their stories.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Then to piggyback off this topic of you being a basketball scout, do you think basketball scout is a job for like anyone could get into, or just it takes a certain type of person to get into, just like coaching or like doing any other work like in sports, like equipment guy, like something that's different. But it's
Um,
something that I don't hear a lot of people saying I want to be a basketball scout because it,
yeah.
all the time.
That's a great question, Andy. I think all right, I'm gonna give you my personal opinion, me personally. Like I think like certain people you come across here and there are just fans of the game and love to dissect it and break it down on a deeper level. And I don't have an issue with that, even if you aren't really coming from a playing history and a guy who was like deeply rooted in basketball. But if you really love it and you're a fan and you're a student, I think there could be like, a career for somebody who wants to pursue a job in scouting. Personally though, my opinion, I say it all the time like as a joke, but I really be for real though. Like I say all the time, like we need more basketball people in basketball.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I'm saying? Like guys like me who've grown up in it, who've seen pros since they were young, can identify what a pro looks like, identify how a pro trains, identify like, how a high level athlete or a pro conducts themselves. It's really kind of like it just makes it easier. And honestly, like, the way the game is trending, everything's going towards analytics. That the
Yeah.
scouts in the
Yeah.
league are heavy on, and even college, they're heavy on analytics now. And I think analytics is a tool that you can use, that you should use, and every good scout should use. But I also think like a lot of the times, man, like you gotta trust your eyes, but you can't trust your eyes if you don't know what you're looking at, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? You can't trust your eyes,
Yeah.
identify something if you've never seen it before. So
Yeah. That's
I
totally
think,
understandable.
yeah,
Because like I like you hear about it in all sorts of sports, like baseball, and as another example, just is all about analytics now too. It's not just like, oh, if you could throw fast pitches or something like that too, or just hit.
yeah. And it's like analytics in basketball is cool, but it's like at the end of the day, like you gotta trust what you're looking at. And like an example of what I say when I mean that is like, how many times have we seen like guys get overlooked? you know what I mean, in college and stuff like that. And then, they go to a lesser school or a smaller school and they kill it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or end up, going like a almost like a Ja Morant or Stephen Curry's type of story. Like, you know what I mean? Like guys who
yeah,
went
yeah,
to
yeah,
smaller schools, but and they might have gotten better over time, but it's always, them few guys that are like diamonds in the rough, or sometimes you just gotta prove yourself. And a lot of times, like, I just feel like you gotta trust your eyes. You gotta know what you're looking at. Like, especially if you're a coach or you're a scout and this is what you get paid to do. Like, you gotta, go with your gut. Trust what you're looking at. Like, and if you need some analytics to help you uh like come to your conclusion, then that's cool.
yeah.
Guys overthink it a lot. Like, I don't think it's that hard. We make it harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, for sure. Like even at my university, like LaSalle University, I'm seeing like on the roster, men's basketball roster, like former like JUCO players that are getting opportunities to play Division 1 and hooping, actually like putting up numbers and being productive on the teams.
Mhm.
And then yeah, and then you hear the stories about like the Jimmy Butler where he went from JUCO to the pros too and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? And then like somebody at Marquette had to see Jimmy Butler, coming from a JUCO and say, this is the guy. Like this is our guy. Whoever the coach was or the scout was that found Jimmy Butler from Marquette, you know, the rest is history. But
Yeah, for
that
sure.
came from him trusting what he's seen. You know what I mean, and trusting who he is as a scout and as a professional.
Yeah, for sure. And I also heard stories where like a coach would say, "Don't tell me a player's star rating because that doesn't mean anything." Sometimes it's about how they play actually, because it's just like it's completely
Like
different.
me, like I tell people all the time, like people always come to me because I'm a scout and they say, "Oh, why is this kid ranked that? Or why is this kid he should be higher, he should be lower?" And I always say all the time, like, especially if you're not a senior, like if you a younger kid, like a freshman through junior, I could care less about rankings. Like, don't come to me asking me
Yeah.
about rankings. Don't come to me talking about rankings. I don't care. Like, I don't, because
Yeah.
we see every like, it's guys who rank top in the country, top 15, top 25, that, after high school, we don't hear about them anymore. Like, and guys that were ranked either like 80 something or 90 something or weren't ranked at all end up getting to college and we hear about them because they just outwork guys. Or like I said before, like guys just got it wrong. Like, you know what I mean? So like I don't really care what your ranking is when you're a junior in college. I mean a junior in high school, or really even a senior in high school, or you're a 5-star, 4-star. None of that matters. Once you get to college, everybody is starting over. On
Yeah, that's a fair point. With this conversation, I'm just thinking like the Jimmy Butler thing where he was probably low ranked or whatever, and then he finally made it. And then you got Hamidou Diallo where he was high ranked, he made it, but then he's overseas now because he couldn't keep up. And where Jimmy Butler is
yeah.
like one of the top players in the league to this day.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just like that ranking stuff don't matter, bro. That ranking stuff don't matter. You gotta continue to
Yeah,
put
and
in
then
work on your craft daily.
for sure, for sure. And then to move on from that, I want to say like talk about the D1 showcase that where I formally met you this past winter, and just talk about like what is the D1 showcase and what your role with D1 showcase is.
But man, yeah, Andy, shout out to you, bro, for pulling up to D1 Showcase, man. This past D1 Showcase was my first year in a director role for the showcase. So I appreciate you and everybody else that came out, and show love and enjoy your time at the showcase, man. But yeah, man, D1 Showcase, it was started by, and it's funny because like to go back and backtrack a little bit, like, my We Are One days, it's literally me and one of my directors from We Are One and a few of my old teammates from We Are One who run it. Like it's really just us. Like we keep it all in the family. Like it's just like, years later, over 10 plus years later, we're doing stuff together now. So D1 Showcase, man, is hosted in Wilmington, Delaware, hosted by us, all Delaware guys, kids who grew up in Delaware, but got the opportunities and the blessings to play on the circuit and get out and gain relationships and see what it's like, grand scheme of things. So yeah, it's pretty much like second week of December. Obviously, we know like the holiday tournaments are in December, like Governor's Challenge, Jordan Holiday Classic, and then Hoop Hall falls like shortly after those events. So we look at our event kind of as like a warm up event, like to Jordan Holiday Classic and to like the Governor's Challenge and the Hoop Hall. Like if you want to come to a different environment and get your team ready and prepared to play against the top teams in the country, D1 Showcase is really a place for you. And then like we also tie it in like for our Delaware teams, it's a chance for them to play different competition while also getting the media exposure. Like me being in the grassroots space, it allows me to have those connections to guys like you and guys who work in the media space and college coaches. So, my goal is to just showcase everybody's top talent at all the programs. Like whether you're coming from Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, Philly, Virginia, it don't matter. Like we want to showcase the programs, showcase the kids, showcase the talent, and it's kind of just like a meeting hub for everybody. Like we want to have the Instagram posts out, and we want to have the coaches in the gym. So I think for us it's really fulfilling just to be able to help kids and help programs just gain exposure and also give like Delaware fans something different. Because like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, like Delaware isn't really a big basketball state, but we do produce talent here and there. And like the people who live here, we have fans of the game. Like people here love
Yeah.
basketball. So just to be able to bring them some of the top players in the country that they wouldn't be able to see any other time is amazing. Like last year we had Julius event and Bergen Catholic come. And Julius is a kid that's going to Michigan State to play for Tom Izzo in the fall. And Bergen Catholic is a team now who's just won what 3 consecutive state championships in New Jersey. So it's like you in
Yeah.
Delaware you don't see stuff like that often. Like we haven't had a kid really go high major in a while. Like Bones Highland is probably the last one, and he really didn't even go high major. He went to VCU, which is like on the cusp of high major. A10 is like right
Yeah.
there, but
Yep.
we don't see that in our backyard often. So, just to bring guys like Julius Event and like Ant Brown, who was supposed to come Sunday but couldn't make it due to snow. But, teams like Newman Goretti, like all the top teams in the area, just bring them here and let's get it on. Let's see who really got hoopers. Like let's put Jersey versus DMV. Let's put Philly versus New York. Like and let's battle it out. Like let's see who really got the hoopers.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. Because I remember one of my favorite games to cover that weekend was the Berkeley Catholic game. Because during the event went crazy, and my video got posted on Made Hoops. But also, like, just like even knowing like you were able to bring teams from Northern Jersey down, or even from across the bridge, just different stuff, so everyone can enjoy that. Because I always hear about like the New York teams or the New Jersey circuits and stuff, and then now Delaware's getting that love too
Mhm.
through the D1's showcase,
Yeah,
which
man,
is awesome.
and this year's showcase, man, we already been working on it. We already got teams locked in. Andy is gonna be real. I'm real excited for it, bro. It's gonna be even better than last year. We got more top teams, more top players. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see what you throw this year out there, team wise, competition, players. Then like I would like to see like what are your goals for the future for the D1 showcase just in the coming years? Like what do you hope to make it?
That's a great question. Honestly, I want it to be one of the premier high school events in the nation. Um, like especially for this region, like I want people to be excited and teams to be excited for the D1 showcase. I want it to be on people's calendars every year. They know second week of December we in Wilmington, Delaware. Like being in Delaware for nothing else throughout the year, but we know
Yeah.
second week in December, that's where we're gonna be at, because that's where the Hoopers gonna be at. So yeah, and I honestly like that's one of my goals, and I want like it to be a place where kids go and make a name for themselves. Like, and that kind of happened last year. Like, we had a kid from Riverdale Baptist out in Maryland, Ian McLaughlin, who undersized guard, like 5'10", 5'11", but the kid is a dog. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, at D1 Showcase, he made a name for himself. Like, I think he had a little bit of buzz heading in, but he had a crazy game at D1 Showcase, and then his momentum from then on, just carried on for the rest of the year. And we had like college coaches hitting me up asking about Ehim and his recruitment and stuff like that. So like honestly, those two things is where I want to see it go. Like just be a staple in like holiday season hoops and just for it to be like a hub. Like I want college coaches to know like, all right, I might go to this D1 showcase and I might find my next diamond in a
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and then if I wanted to think correctly, remember correctly, pretty much there was a couple, like handful of college scouts at the event last year, right? If I was remembering correctly, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was a handful of colleges that came last year to check us out. We had Drexel come through and show love. We had Delaware State came through and show love.
Yeah.
Who else? We had Goldie Bigham D2. Goldie Bigham came, show love. Randolph Macon came and showed love. Coach from Harvard came through and showed love too. He was down, spent the day with us. So yeah, man, we had a nice crop of coaches come through. Coach Dan Burke from Wilmington University, D2 Wilmington University came and showed love, watched some of his recruits and, a few other people that he was scouting. So yeah, we had a good amount of college coaches come and it was spread out throughout the 3 days of the event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Each day it was a coach in there, at least one or two. So my goal for this year or for this upcoming year showcase is to, double that numbers, just get as many college coaches as we can into the gym.
Yeah, that's awesome, and real impressive to see. Even in your second year, you grabbing attention from college coaches to come and see some of the top talent you guys are able to get in the gym and play.
Yeah.
Then I would like to ask the next question: what is some of your favorite moment working in sports so far?
Man, my favorite moment
Yeah.
working in sports so far. That's a great question, Andy. Man, my favorite moment. I don't know if I can just say like one specific moment. Yeah, I don't even know like if I have or no,
Or
I
how about
lied. I lied. I'm
okay?
sorry. So
Oh, you're
far,
good.
so
You're good.
far into my career, I would probably say I would probably because I had a lot of great moments that stick with me, but I would say my first commitment day, my only and first commitment day was with Jake West when he announced his commitment to Northwestern.
Okay, okay.
I was helping Jake throughout his process a lot, just, reporting his news and his recruitment and what he had going on and just like, just showing him support. I want to say when I had like a podcast type of thing when I first started and when people really didn't know who Jake was, I did an interview with
Yeah,
Jake on like my podcast just to help him, get some exposure. I want to say he was in like 10th grade at the time. Like just to help him get some exposure and to help,
okay.
people see who he really was. And then that's how that relationship kind of nursed itself. And then next thing you know, his senior year, him and his parents were like, yo, we want like May Hoops to host his commitment day, but we want Trent there. Like we want Trent to be the guy. So I got to go on the podium and
Yeah,
like talk with the microphone in front of all the people and like
yeah,
ask
yeah.
Jake questions and like I think even like Fox News was there and stuff like that. So it was pretty
Wow,
cool. Like
awesome,
that was
awesome.
my first commitment day, like a breaking the news of like a commitment, and it was amazing. And shout out to Jake and his family, Mr. West, Miss Shannon. Shout out to Jake. Shout out to Luke. Shout out to all the West family for showing me love.
For sure. I was gonna say, like, I saw all the Made Hoops content they created. If I remember correctly, also they made a YouTube documentary series for, like, mini series for him, right?
I
If I'm not
believe so.
mistaken. Yeah, yeah, where his like parents got to talk in it, talk about his journey and his commitment day and everything, which impressive to see what they could do with that too and everything on that side of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I would like to ask, like, what are your future goals? Like, what are some of your dream teams or athletes or leagues you want to dive into and work with in the coming years
Um,
too?
I mean, my ultimate goal is to do what I do at the highest levels. I really want to eventually scout for a team in the NBA. Um, and work amongst like those type of people, just the best and the highest athletes that the game has to offer. I want to be around the best basketball minds. I want to continue to learn the game, learn terminology, and just be a sponge. Like so. some of my goals, like, and I wanna continue to gain relationships with the best college coaches and programs in the country, and also, the players, and just continue to be a voice and a pipeline and a vessel.
Yeah, for sure. And then my last question is, do you have any advice for people that like former athletes getting out of like their playing days and getting into like the professional world and still want to be in the sports world because that's what they grew up with and they still love the environment of it?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, Andy. Honestly, Andy, I got lucky. Like we see it every day, like, athletes who spend their whole entire life trying to earn just one scholarship. And so, when it's like that from the time like you're 9, 10 to all the way to the point where you're 18, like that kind of becomes who you are. And we see a lot of athletes just be lost after sports, just kind of, either falling into the wrong things or just taking some time to figure it out. And I got lucky, honestly. Like my playing career ended abruptly, but I chose that because I knew I could set myself up and have a head start on guys who maybe are like chasing that college career and chasing that professional career. Guys play maybe 5 years after college trying to, make a name or trying to get some money, and then they end up coming home from overseas, or maybe the overseas thing doesn't work out, and then now they're trying to figure out, all right, now what do I do? I just kind of looked at it like, all right, well, I kind of get a head start. So I would say, any advice I would give to athletes, looking to make the transition, I would say while you're in school, network, definitely network, like, and don't just be confined to your one sport. Like, talk to everybody that's involved in all sports at your school. Like, cause you just never know what people will do after you guys leave, like college. Like, you just never know, and you want to build those organic relationships. And my brother always he gave me my brother always has good sayings and good advice, but my brother gave me this one thing that stuck with me. That is kind of like a mantra that I live by now, and it's like, that cliche saying where it's like it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, but it's who you know. I think it's a little different than that. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. I hear it all the time.
yeah, and I don't think that's necessarily the case though, Andy. Me personally, I think it's definitely who you know, but it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And when I say that,
Yeah,
like, for example, I get calls from agents, like with the new NIL stuff. I get calls with agents all day, Andy. Like all day, I get calls and texts from agents trying to get in touch with these players for representation. Why do they call me? Because they know I'm the person to come to with, the players in this area, in my area. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say it's not about who you know, but who knows you. Like, the college coaches, like, they text me, we got a 5-star now in Delaware, Mason Collins, who just moves here. They know I'm the guy in Delaware. So the college coaches come to me when they look for updates on what Mason got going on. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
they know I'm the guy.
yeah,
So it's like, all right, it's not really who you know, but who knows you. Like, and you never know who might call you for something that they need. I get calls a lot for just different jobs and different tasks, or somebody just needs help with something. Like, so I would say continue to grow your network and just find interests. Like, find little things that interest you. Like, whether it's like you, Andy, like, picking up a camera and like you want to capture
yeah,
moments and shoot, or it's like, maybe you like hosting events, running events, or maybe you like putting events together, but you don't like being at the forefront. So maybe you like to do all the behind the scenes work. So you might want to get into operation.
yeah,
Like, it's so many avenues through sports for people to find jobs and careers in it. But I think what's lacking is the exposure and the knowledge of that these jobs even exist. So I would just
yeah,
say, like, I would just say, like, just do your research, find a niche, and continue to build your network, and don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Like, me personally, I started in operations. I didn't even start with scouting. I was doing operations for probably my first 3 years as a professional.
oh, dang.
and a lot of people don't even know that. But I like doing operations, but scouting found I feel like I found my niche with scouting through operations. But I would have never found the opportunity probably to be in scouting if I didn't start somewhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then it's you give yourself options. Like
Yeah.
somebody might not need like the New York Knicks might not need a lead scout right now, but they need somebody with experience in operations. So it's like, okay, I have the experience in operations just to get my foot in the door. So you never know.
Yeah.
They could hire me for an operations spot. And while I'm with the Knicks or whatever, a scouting spot may open up and they may give it to me just because they know I have the experience there and I'm also already within the company. Like
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah,
You
for
just
sure.
never like, you know what I mean? We've
For
seen a lot of different things happen. You just gotta give yourself as many options and opportunities as you can. You don't wanna limit yourself. So,
Yeah, for sure.
those
This you give. I was gonna say, with you giving all this advice, this reminds me of my journey so far. Like right after like undergrad, I started doing operations too for like a summer baseball team, and after that, like it transitioned me to like I couldn't really find a job, like a full-time gig, so I went and did landscaping, and I decided to pick up my camera more often, and I freelanced a lot, and then somehow the opportunity came through social media where the coaches reached out to me from Radford University, and I was able to shoot for them, and then when they moved up to LaSalle University, I thought my time was over with shooting like college basketball, but then they reached back out to me saying there's opportunities up here for a grad assistantship. So I went and shot my shot, applied here, and that's where I'm in currently shooting Division One sports at LaSalle University. So it's just like
yeah.
the connections mean a lot. Like as you said,
You're a living
the
testament,
connections, and
like
who knows you?
my forward. What was just saying? I was just saying you're a living testament of exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But what were you saying? Continue what were you saying though?
I was just saying, like, just like what you just said, like it just makes me just brings those dots to me. Just knowing, like, it's possible. Just if someone knows you, like, if someone knows you, just network. Like, sports is hard, and you gotta just know people sometimes, or who knows you specifically, because you never
Yeah.
know who could be just be a good person, and they might help you out later on.
That one right there though, being a good person,
Yeah,
like, and it's hard when you're a beginner because like in this business, it's like you said, it's hard for one. It's very competitive. It's a very competitive and exclusive business and industry to get into. People don't really realize that. Like everyone wants a piece of the pie. Like everyone wants to get in to this industry and have a foot in the door somehow. And early on, wherever you start at, it's not always gonna be a lot of money. Imma just be straightforward with you. Like, it ain't gonna really be a lot of
yeah,
money. A lot of times, like,
yeah,
certain people that walk into a position early on and making a good amount of money or making the money that they want to are lucky. This is a industry where you kinda gotta grind it out. So, to your point of being a good person, that will a lot of the times take you further than even being good at what you do will. Like even like bro, on some like I can't even lie to you, Andy. Like people will keep you around just because they like you. You could not even be
yeah,
that good at your job. Like it could be people out there that's better at what you do. But just because you're likable and you boost the team morale of the company and the group, they'll keep you around, or you'll keep stay with a job, or they might, or it'll be somebody like, yo, maybe somebody in the company, or maybe at this company don't have an opportunity for you right now, but they like you, and they go on to work somewhere else, and they'll remember you, like, yo, you feel me? I had a great experience when I worked with Andy at such and such tournament. So let me call him
yeah,
and see what he got going on because I need somebody that does what he does. Like, you know what I mean? So just like
yeah, yeah, for
being
sure.
a good person and not doing everything you do for a dollar is key. It's 2026. I'm not saying yeah, I gotta be out here giving out free content and all that type of stuff because we
Yeah,
ain't doing that. We ain't them days over. We ain't doing that. But
yeah,
you just got you gotta have good judgment. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Good
yeah,
discernment.
for sure.
Like, if it's an opportunity to where it's like, all right, I might not make any money from this, or I might not make a lot of money from this, but the connections I'm gonna make will be invaluable. And it's something you gotta really sit down and really think about. Like, I might want to, just take the risk.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, just like being a good person is just even that simple thing is could go just a long way. And then I would like to just start wrapping up the podcast. Say thank you, Trent, for getting on the podcast and telling me your story and your journey throughout from playing sports to your your young professional career, just getting like started and getting going strong. And love to see your journey continue on.
Nah, I appreciate you, Andy, and it's been great, man, coming on the podcast and getting to tell my story, and it's been like kind of even us doing this podcast is almost like a testament to everything I just said, just because like I met you a couple months ago, but like our
Yep.
interaction was real genuine and like it was mad cool, so like we just ended up
Yep.
staying in touch, like and just supporting each other, so.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. For
yeah,
sure.
bro. It's been great, man. I appreciate you letting me to come on your platform and tell my story. And I hope that, it helps, some people who listen to this.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody I bring on is to educate somebody, get them to learn something
Definitely.
new about sports. Just diving into because sports is just such a complicated and complex world out here.
No, it is. It is. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of people like I got lucky, like my older brother kind of showed me how to navigate through it because he did it. We're 13 years apart and he started
Oh,
like
dang.
my older brother was the first May Hoops writer. Like he was the first writer for May Hoops. Like and
Dang.
now, yeah, like and now we talking like years later, he just wrote the McDonald's All American documentary that just came out on Amazon Prime. So it's like,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, like you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So like
Nice.
definitely if you get a chance, Andy, go tune into that if you haven't already. It definitely tells the story of the McDonald's game and
Yeah.
he's an Emmy nominated writer at this point. So like, you
No,
know what I'm saying?
nice. Nice.
So,
Yeah,
like
it's good to have
I got
those mentors, right?
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? So not everybody has that. So, it's definitely a tough and even with me having a mentor like him, it's still tough for me to navigate through this because my route isn't his route. So, it's
Fair.
like he can only do but so much. Like I gotta learn all of this and navigate all of this on my own. Like I'm my own man. So, we all need help and we all need some type of guidance. So, I'm
Yeah.
here to help whoever.
Yeah. That's why it's good to be on this platform and share your story and knowledge to people too.
Yeah, man. And if anybody hears this and wants to hit me up, feel free to hit me up if you need any type of advice or need anything. Like I'm an open book. And if you don't have my info, you're looking for me. Andy got anything you need. You got my number, my Instagram. Let him know.
Yeah, I'll tag it in the bio this time of the podcast.
Yep.